Hi everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to crochet this heart pinafore. So this pinafore can be made in a number of different sizes, and for all of the information on how to make the different sizes, please see the description box below. So thank you very much for watching, and please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. We are going to start off by making the top of the front of our pinafore, and to begin this part we want to do a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, take your yarn and take your finger and wrap the yarn around your finger once and then twice. Then take the first loop and pull it over the second loop, and then take the second loop and pull it all the way over your finger. You then want to take your crochet hook, go in through this space and pull tight, and there we have a slip knot. And now once you have your slip knot, we are now going to make our foundation chain, and we are going to chain 44. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 44. I have finished working my foundation chain, and now we are on to round 1. So round 1 is just a simple round of single crochet, and we're going to work our first single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So here is the first chain from the hook, and here is the second chain, and you want to go down into this chain and yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So there we have one single crochet into that chain, and now you want to go down into the next chain and yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. So there we have one single crochet into that chain as well, and just keep doing this all the way along for round 1. One single crochet into each and every chain. So I have finished working that all the way along for round 1, and at the end of this round you should have 43 single crochets, and I would recommend that you just quickly go back and double check that you do have 43, and if you do, we are ready to move on to round 2. So to begin round 2, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we are going to start off by working 2 single crochets together. So when we do 2 single crochets together, we are working 2 single crochets, 1 into each stitch, but we are not going to complete either of them, and then we're going to complete them both together at the same time. So we're effectively turning 2 stitches into 1. So you want to go down into this first stitch here, as our chain 1 did not count as a stitch, and yarn over and pull up a loop. But you want to stop here, so do not complete this single crochet. So usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops, but we're not going to do that. We're going to stop here and move on to the next one. So go down into the next stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop and stop here. So do not complete this second single crochet either. So you should have 3 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 3. And there we have done 2 single crochets together, and we have turned 2 stitches into 1. And now for the next part of round 2, you just want to do 1 single crochet into every single stitch until you get to 2 stitches from the end. So we're going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch, but stop when we have 2 stitches left here at the end. So we will stop when we get to here. So you want to go down into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet, and then do 1 into the next one, and then do a single crochet into the next stitch, and keep doing that all the way along. So I have finished working those single crochets, and I stopped when I had 2 stitches left at the end. So you can see I have 1 and 2 stitches left at the end, and you should have 39 single crochets in this round, so in round 2. And now what we're going to do is into these last 2 stitches, we are going to work 2 single crochets together. So you want to go down into this first stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop, and then go down into the last stitch at the end, and this one can always be a little bit tricky to get into, so go into that last stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop, and there you should have 3 loops on your hook, and you want to yarn over and pull through all 3. So there we have done 2 single crochets together over those last 2 stitches, just like we did at the beginning of the round, and now we're ready to move on to round 3. So for the next 3 rounds, so for rounds 3, 4 and 5, we are just going to repeat the round that we just did, so round 2. So to begin each round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and then do 2 single crochets together over the first 2 stitches, and then you want to do 1 single crochet into each stitch until you get to 2 stitches from the end, and then do 2 single crochets together over the last 2 stitches. So you want to do that all the way along for rounds 3, 4 and 5, and you should find that in each round you do, the number of single crochets that you have to work in the middle will go down by 2. So in round 2, the round that we just did, we had 39 single crochets in the middle, and then in round 3 you should find that you have 37 single crochets in the middle, and then in round 4 there should be 35, and then in round 5 there should be 33. So the number of single crochets that you have to work should decrease in each round. So chain 1 and turn, 2 single crochets together, 1 single crochet into each stitch until 2 from the end, and then 2 single crochets together at the end of the round. So do that for rounds 3, 4 and 5. So I have finished working those rounds, and I have come to the end of round 5, and at the end of this round you should have 35 stitches, and it's really important that you have that number, as next round we are going to be starting to add in our heart. So I would recommend that you just go back and double check that you do have 35 stitches, and that includes the sets of 2 single crochets together at either end. And if you do, we're ready to move on to round 6. So to begin this round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we are going to do 17 single crochets. So you want to go down into this first stitch and do 1 single crochet, and then do 1 into the second stitch, and then do a 3rd single crochet into the next stitch, and keep going until you have 17. So there I have worked 16 single crochets, so I have 1 left to work, but whilst doing this 17th single crochet, we are going to change colours. So you want to go down into the next stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop. So start to work a single crochet, but then you want to stop here right before the last step. So usually we would yarn over and pull through these 2 loops, but you do not want to do that. You want to drop the yarn that you are using and then take your new colour. So this is going to be the colour of our heart. So I'm going with pink, and place it over the end of your crochet hook and pull it through. So there we have worked that 17th single crochet and changed colours at the same time. And now we are going to go down into the next stitch and we are going to work a single crochet using this new colour. But whilst working that single crochet, you need to make sure that you are working over that yarn that you just dropped. So I'm going to work over this green yarn that I just dropped. So go into the next stitch and make sure that you are working over that end and yarn over and pull up a loop. But whilst working this single crochet, we are going to change colours again. So we are going to change colours back to the yarn that we just dropped. So we have gone down into the stitch and yarned over and pulled up a loop. So we have started a single crochet, but rather than yarning over and pulling through these 2 loops, we're going to drop that yarn that we were just using and then take our old yarn that we just worked over, place it over the end of your hook and pull it through. So there we have worked that single crochet and we have changed colours back to our original colour. And you do not want to fasten off, so do not cut this yarn. You want to leave it hanging, so leave it attached to the ball, and the next round we can pick that yarn back up and use it for the next round of the heart. So what you want to do now is go into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet as usual, and then do 1 into the next stitch, and keep doing this until you get to the end of the round, and you should find that that is 17 single crochets. There I have come to the end of round 6, so I did those 17 single crochets to finish, and at the end of that round this is what you should have. So we have this little pink stitch in the middle, so this is the start of our heart. This is the bottom of the heart, and I have both ends from where we attach that yarn coming out of the same side on the back here. So this is the end from where we attach the yarn, and then this is the end that is still attached to the ball. So you want to make sure that you do not cut this yarn, you leave it attached to the ball, and they are both coming out of the same side on the back. So now we are moving on to round 7. So to begin this round you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So we are going to work 16 single crochets. So do 1 down into this first stitch here, and then do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and keep going until you have 16. There I have worked 15 single crochets, and just like before, whilst working the last single crochet, so whilst working the 16th one, we are going to change colours. So go down into the next stitch and yarn over and pull up a loop. So start to work that 16th single crochet, but you do not want to complete the single crochet. You want to drop the yarn that you are using and then take your new colour. So this is the yarn that we dropped last round, so the yarn that is still attached to the ball. You want to take this yarn and yarn over and pull through both loops on your hook. And there we have picked up our new yarn and finished that 16th single crochet. And now we are going to do 3 single crochets using this new yarn. So you want to go down into the next stitch here. So this should be the one next to this pink. So go into the next stitch and work 1 single crochet, and it's really important that when you do that you're working over the yarn that we just dropped. So work 1 single crochet and then do a single crochet into the next stitch, and we're still working over this yarn, and I'm going to pull it tight as I go. And then you want to go down into this next stitch here and work your 3rd and final single crochet in this colour. But whilst working this 3rd single crochet, we are going to change colours back to the colour that we dropped before, so back to our base colour. So you want to drop the yarn that you were using, so your heart colour, and then take this yarn that we have been working over and yarn over and pull through both loops. And then you can pull this yarn tight and bring it so it's on the back. So you need to make sure that before you work your next single crochet that this colour, this yarn, is still attached to the ball, and that you bring it round to the back. And now we can finish off by working 16 single crochets. So go down into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet. And like I said, make sure that this yarn is still on the back where this other end is here. And then do 1 into the next stitch. And keep going until you have 16. So there we have come to the end of round 7, and this is what you should have. So if you turn our work over to the front, you can see that our little heart is forming. So this is the point at the bottom, and now we're on to round 8. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn. And we are going to work 15 single crochets. Have worked 14 single crochets, and then whilst working this next one, this 15th one, we are going to change colours. So there we have worked that single crochet and changed colours at the same time. So now we are going to do 5 single crochets using our new colour, so using our heart colour. And again, it's really important that we work over this end that we just dropped. So go down into the next stitch and make sure that you're working over this end. So I'm going to twist these around like this. So make sure that you're working over that end and pull it nice and tight. And then do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then a 3rd one and a 4th. And then whilst working the 5th single crochet, we're going to change colours. So go into the stitch, start to work the single crochet, drop the yarn, and then take your new colour and pull it through. And make sure that you pull your yarn tight before you do that. So there we have done 5 single crochets and changed colours at the same time. And when you drop that yarn, you need to make sure that you are dropping it down to the same side, so to the back of the work, so where this other end comes out, as we want to keep the front nice and clean. And now we're going to finish off by doing 15 single crochets. So go down into the next stitch and do 1 single crochet, and then keep going until you have 15. So there we have finished round 8, and now we are on to round 9. So to start off, chain 1 and turn. And we are going to do 14 single crochets, and then whilst working that 14th single crochet, you want to change colours to this colour here, so to this yarn. So do those 14 single crochets. So like that. So there I have done those 14 single crochets and changed colours at the same time. And before you change colours, it's really important that you pull this yarn, so the yarn from our heart, nice and tight, and that will make sure that that last stitch is the right tension. And now we are going to do 7 single crochets using the new colour, making sure that you are working over the yarn that you just dropped, and then change colours back to the base colour whilst working that 7th single crochet. So I have one last single crochet to work here, and then I'm going to work my 7th one and change colours at the same time. And before I pick this base colour back up, I'm going to pull it nice and tight and then pick it back up, and then make sure that this yarn that you pull it back round to the back here where this other end comes out. And now we are going to work 14 more single crochets to finish. So 1, 2, all the way up to 14. So there I have worked those last single crochets, and this is what you should have. So this is the back, and then we have the front here, and now we're on to round 10. So chain 1 and turn, and round 10 follows the same pattern as the other rounds, but in this round we're going to do 13 single crochets, changing colours whilst working that 13th single crochet. And then we're going to do 9 single crochets for the heart, so in this colour, changing colours whilst working the 9th one. And then you want to finish off by doing 13 single crochets. So that's what we're going to do for round 10. So it follows the same pattern, so do 13 single crochets, changing colours at the end. So there we have changed colours, and now we are going to do 9 single crochets in the middle, and make sure that you are working over this end here, so work over your base colour. There's 8, and I'm going to pull this yarn tight and work the 9th one and change colours at the same time, and make sure that this yarn is back over the wrong side, so the back. And now we're going to finish off by doing single crochets to the end. So there I have finished round 10, and if you find that your work is kind of curling up like this, that's okay. It's just where you are working in single crochet and you have the colour changes, and once your pinafore is complete, it won't curl up like that anymore. So now we're on to round 11, and you want to start off by chaining 1 and turning, and we are going to work 12 single crochets. Then you want to change colours, and then you want to do 11 single crochets working the middle colour, changing colours whilst working the 11th one, and then finish off by working 12 single crochets. So we're doing 12, 11, 12 all the way along for round 11. So I have finished working that all the way along for round 11, and this is what you have. So this is the back here, and you can tell it's the back because we have these little sections here where we are changing colours. So that's going to be on the inside, and then the nice neat section here is the outside. So now we are on to round 12, and this follows the same pattern. So you want to start off by chaining one and turning, and then you want to do 11 single crochets, changing colours whilst working that 11th one. So here's number 10 and then number 11, and I'm going to change colours at the same time and pull this tight before you do so. And now we are going to work 13 single crochets using the heart colour, so using our new colour. So go down into the next stitch and work a single crochet, and make sure that you work over your old yarn and then do one into the next stitch and keep going until you have 13. So I'm going to work my 13th single crochet here and change colours at the same time. So change colours. And now we're going to finish off by working 11 single crochets, and make sure that when you drop that yarn that you take it over to the wrong side. Have finished working that all the way along for round 12, and this is what you should have. So we have 11 single crochets, 13 for the middle, and then 11 over this side. And now we are on to round 13. So for the next 3 rounds, so for rounds 13, 14 and 15, we're just going to repeat round 12, so the round that we just did. So chain one and turn to begin each round, and then you want to do 11 single crochets, changing colours whilst working that 11th one, and then you want to do 13 single crochets, changing colours whilst working the 13th one, and then work 11 single crochets to finish. So do that all the way along for round 13, then 14 and then 15. So I have finished working those rounds, so I came to the end of round 15, and this is what you should have. So this is what your work should look like. And now we are moving on to round 16. So to begin this round, you want to chain one and turn, and we are going to do 12 single crochets, changing colours whilst working that 12th one. So go down into the first stitch and do 1 single crochet, and then do a second, and keep going until you have 12, and change colours whilst working number 12. So like that. So there I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 single crochets, and I have changed colours. And now we are going to do 5 single crochets using our heart colour, and we're going to change colours whilst working the 5th one. So go down into the next stitch and do 1, and remember to work over your end here, and then do a second single crochet, and a third, fourth, and then we're going to do a fifth one, changing colours back to our base colour at the same time, like that. So like that, and now you want to do one single crochet into the next stitch using this base colour, and whilst working that single crochet, we're going to change back to the colour that we are using for our heart. So it's the same thing as we did down here with our one little single crochet. So go down into the next stitch and make sure you're working over your heart colour, so this pink colour here, and start to work a single crochet, but then drop the yarn, take your new colour and change colours. So we're doing one single crochet in our base colour and changing colours back to the heart colour at the end. And now you want to do 5 single crochets in the heart colour, so in the pink, and change colours whilst working the 5th one. Like that. So there we have done 5 single crochets in the pink, 1 single crochet in the base colour, and then 5 more single crochets in the pink or the heart colour. And now you want to make sure that this end is down here on the wrong side on the back, and we're going to finish off by doing 12 single crochets in our base colour, and make sure that the colour of your heart is down here on the wrong side. So finish off by doing 12 single crochets. So there I have come to the end of round 16, and this is what you should have. And now we are on to round 17. So chain 1 and turn, and we're going to start off by doing 13 single crochets, changing colours whilst working the 13th one. So do 1 into the first stitch here, and the next stitch, and then keep going until you have 13. Here is my 13th stitch, and I'm going to do a 13th single crochet, changing colours to my heart colour, so to the pink at the same time. And now we are going to do 3 single crochets in the new colour, changing colours on the last one. So do 1 and make sure you're working over this end as usual. So do 1 single crochet, then a second, and then pull the yarn tight and change colours whilst working the 3rd one, like that. And now you want to do 3 single crochets in the new colour, so in our base colour, changing colours whilst working the 3rd one, and you should be working over this end here. So this end, our heart colour, you want to work over now. So do 1, 2 and 3, and pull it tight before you change colours back to the heart colour. So I'm going to pick up the pink and change colours, and now we are going to do 3 more single crochets in the pink, so in the heart colour, changing colours whilst working that last one. So like that. So there we have done 3 single crochets, 3 and then 3, and this is the last round of our heart. So our heart is finished now, so you can take this pink yarn here or your heart colour and fasten off, leaving a long tail to weave in later. And now we're going to finish off round 17 by working 13 last single crochets. So finish off by working 13, so 13 to the end, So there I have come to the end of round 17, and you can see that I have fastened off this pink colour. So we have finished our heart here. This is the back and this is the front, so the nice neat front. And we're now on to round 18. And for the next 5 rounds, so for rounds 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22, so 5 rounds, we are just going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch. So chain 1 and turn and do 1 single crochet into each stitch across, and then do the same thing for round 19, 20, 21 and 22, so 5 rounds. And in each round that you do, you should find that you have 35 single crochets. So to begin each round, chain 1 and turn, and then do 1 single crochet down into this first stitch and 1 into the next, and keep going all the way along to the very end, and then repeat that until you get to the end of round 22. There I have finished working those rounds, so this is what you should have at the end of round 22, and you can see we have our little heart here. So this is forming the top of the first half of the pinafore or of the dress, and now we can move on and add the straps. So to begin the straps, you want to chain 1 and turn like that. And we are going to do 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So 5 single crochets. And then you want to do 2 single crochets together over the next 2 stitches. So just like we did down here, do 2 single crochets together. So there we have round 1 of the first strap complete. And now for the next 19 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch. So chain 1 and turn, and do 1 into each stitch, and you should find that that is 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, like that. So there we have the first round, and keep doing that until you have 19 rounds of plain single crochets, and that will give you 20 rounds for that strap in total. I have finished working those rounds, so I have 20 rounds in total for the strap, and this is what it looks like. And we have quite long straps, as this needs to be folded over and go all the way to the back, and the button is going to sit on the back piece. And if you want this strap to be a little bit longer, then you can add more rounds of just plain single crochet here. So now before we finish off this strap, we need to add a button loop, and we're going to do that over 2 last rounds. So chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches, so here and here. And now we are going to skip 2 stitches, so skip 1 and 2 and chain 5. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you want to do 2 single crochets into the last 2 stitches, or 1 into each of the last 2. And if you are using smaller buttons, then you may want to chain 3 or 4, but I am using quite large buttons, so I have chained 5. And then the very last round of our straps begins by chaining 1 and turn, and we're just going to do 1 single crochet into each stitch, and that includes these chains. So like that. And there we have added our little button loop. And now to finish off, you want to fasten off. So pull your yarn out and your hook and cut your yarn, leaving a long tail to weave in later. And now we can move on to make the other strap. So we are now on to the second strap, and this strap has worked in the same way. It's just that the first round is back to front. So you want to start off by taking your work like this and taking your hook, and we are going to count in 7 stitches from the edge. So count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then insert your hook into this stitch. Take your yarn, place it over the end, pull it through and chain 1. So we are attaching our yarn into this first stitch here, so into the 7th stitch, and we're going to start off by working 2 single crochets together over these first 2 stitches. Like that. And now you want to do 5 single crochets. So this round is the same as round 1 of the other strap, it's just that it's back to front. So there we have round 1 complete, and now you want to continue working this strap in the same way as the other one. You want to do the same number of plain rounds of single crochet, so that is 19, and then you want to do your buttonhole in the same way. So work that for the other strap. So there I have worked the other strap in the exact same way, and we have finished the front of the top of our pinafore. So this is what the top section of the front should look like, and now we can move on to the top section of the back. So this is the top section of the back. This is what it looks like, and it is exactly the same as the front piece that we just did, but there are no straps and there is no heart. So you want to do the same thing as we did for this half, but without the heart, so without any of the colour changes, and then do not add the straps at the end. So you want to make your slip knot and chain 44 in the same way as you did for the front, and then you want to do rounds 1 to 5, so the decrease rounds in the same way. And then when you get to round 6, we started to do colour changes for the heart, but you do not want to do that. You just want to do rounds of plain single crochet all the way up until round 22. So just the same as we did for the front, it's the same length. So rounds 1 to 5 are exactly the same, and then rounds 6 through to 22 are the same as the front, but just without the colour changes. So you're just doing 1 single crochet into each stitch without changing colours. So once you have done that, this is what you should have. So I came to the end of round 22 and fastened off and did not add any straps. And now we have 2 pieces, the top of the front and the top of the back. And don't worry if your pieces are curling up like this. Once you have joined them and you add the skirt to your pinafore or to your dress, they won't curl up anymore. So now we are on to the bottom or the skirt of our pinafore. So to do that, you want to take the back here, so the top of the back, and go to the bottom, and we are going to count in 21 stitches from the left hand side. So count in 21, so count in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way along to 21. Counted in 21 stitches, so I have the top of the back and I have gone to the bottom, so along the longest section, and I have counted in 21 stitches from the left and then inserted my hook into that 21st stitch, and then we're going to take our yarn, place it over the end of the hook, pull it through and chain 1. So we're attaching our yarn into this stitch. And now we are going to do 1 single crochet into each of the first 6 stitches. So go down into this stitch that we just attached our yarn into and do 1 single crochet, and then do 1 into the next stitch, and then 1 into the next, then do a 4th, a 5th, and 6th. So you want 6 single crochets, 1 into each stitch, and now we are going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So do 2 both into this next one, like that. And you want to repeat that set of stitches 2 more times, and that should take you to the end here. So 1 into 6 and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch 2 more times. So I have worked that all the way along, so I have 3 sets of those stitches in total, and you should find that that takes you to the very end here of the back. And now we are going to chain 1, so you want to chain 1, and now take the front like this and go to the bottom of the front, so along the longest section, and we are going to go into the very last stitch of the front. So into the last stitch here, and make sure that you have the front of the work facing you, so it's on the outside. So go into the very last stitch of the front at the end, like that, and work 1 single crochet. And there we have joined our 2 pieces. And we are just going to continue to work our sets of 6 single crochets and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch all the way along the bottom of the front. So we have done 1 single crochet there. So now do 1 single crochet into the next stitch and 1 into the next. And then do a 4th single crochet and a 5th, and then a 6th, and then do 2 single crochets both into the next stitch. And just continue to work those sets all the way along, and you should find that you have 6 sets of those stitches in total along for the front. So I have finished working that all the way along the front, and you should find that you have 1 stitch left at the end, and we're going to do a single crochet into this stitch. And don't worry if you can't finish your set, or you don't have one stitch left at the end, or you have 2 stitches left. Just work to the very end, repeating those steps, and stop when you get to the end. It's really easy to make mistakes when you're working into the foundation chain at the bottom here. So as long as you are increasing evenly, it doesn't really matter at this point. But you should have 6 sets of those stitches and 1 left at the end, and then do 1 single crochet into that last stitch. And now you want to chain 1, and we are going to connect our work back here to the back. So you want to make sure that your work is not twisted here. Make sure that this join isn't twisted, and come along to the back. So I'm going to go down into this first stitch here and do 1 single crochet like that. And now you just want to continue working your sets of 6 single crochets and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch all the way along until you reach where you started, and you should find that that is 3 last sets. So we're going to go into the next stitch and do a single crochet, and then do 1 into the next, and just keep going. I have repeated that 3 times, and I have reached where I started on the back, and you should have 1 stitch left at the end, and you want to go down into this stitch and do 1 single crochet like that. And now we're going to finish off by working a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we worked. So here is the first single crochet, go down into this stitch and work a slip stitch. And now we are ready to move on to round 2. So to begin this round, chain 1 and turn. And we are going to work 9 single crochets, or 1 single crochet into each of the first 9 stitches. So go down into this first stitch that your chain 1 comes out of, and do 1 single crochet, and then do a second and a third into the next stitch, and keep going until you have 9. Like that. And then you want to do 2 single crochets both into the next stitch here. So go into the stitch and do 1, and then do a second single crochet back down into that stitch. So there we have done 9 single crochets and 2 into the next, and you want to repeat that all the way around for round 2 of the bottom of our dress. So I have worked that all the way around, so I finished by doing 2 single crochets into this last stitch at the end, and now we're going to finish off by working a slip stitch into the first single crochet that we worked. So there we have finished round 2 of the bottom, and now we can move on to round 3. So now for the rest of the pinafore, so for the rest of the length of the pinafore, you just want to do rounds of plain single crochet. So to begin each round, you want to chain 1 and turn, and this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. And now we're going to do 1 single crochet down into the first stitch here. So do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then do 1 into the next stitch, and the next, and the next, and just keep doing that all the way around, 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then when you get to the end, work a slip stitch into the first single crochet that you worked. And then you want to repeat that again, chain 1 and turn, do 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then do a slip stitch into the first single crochet that you worked, and keep going until you have the length that you want. And once you have done all of those repeats, this is what you will have. So I did 32 repeats for my dress, but you could do more if you wanted a longer dress or a longer pinafore, or you could always do less. But this is what my little pinafore looks like. It's just plain rounds of single crochet at the bottom. And then when you get to the very end and you have the length that you want, work your final slip stitch and then fasten off. And then you can go ahead and weave all of your ends nice and securely into the inside of your pinafore. And then on the back, you want to add 2 buttons that line up with your buttonholes. So add 2 buttons. And then if you want, you can add a single crochet border around the opening. So to do that, I used a smaller crochet hook. So for my pinafore, I used a 4mm hook. And then for the border, I used a 3.5mm hook. And then I just attached my yarn somewhere here on the back. And then I did 1 single crochet into each stitch up here, all the way around the top, back down, around the front, up along the straps and around the button loops, and I did that all the way around, finishing off with a slip stitch, and then I fastened off and weaved that end nicely into the inside, and that just gives you a nice neat border or a nice neat edge. And then once you have done that, we have finished. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it easy to follow. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet videos. And in the description box below this video, I will leave a link to where you can find the written pattern for this dress. And I will also leave links to my Twitter and Instagram. So I always like to post updates and pictures on there, especially Instagram. And I would love to see photos of your crochet work on there as well. And thank you again for watching. Bye.